I'm really curious, like when you found this stuff, like this realm of mindfulness and meditation and spirituality as a aspiring pro athlete. Was it in college, or was it maybe after your pro career?
No, well, I actually found it in high school. In high school, my father, he was
Really?
a yeah, he was my father was a former black belt, and my I have two uncles. They decided to join a monastery, and uh, I looked up to them. I have four uncles in total, but these two, I look up to all my uncles, but these two in particular, they showed me the way of the life of meditation and the practice of and learning how to adapt that into your life. And once I did that, the rest is history.
This episode is brought to you by West Coast Beach, a year-round beach volleyball club on the west side of Los Angeles in Santa Monica, California. At West Coast Beach, we aim to get 1% better every day, both on and off the court. You can find more info about us at westcoastvbc.com and on Instagram with handle at westcoastvbc. All right, I'm here with Prince Daniels Jr. Prince, thanks so much for being here, man.
And thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
So excited to have you on, man. All right, you played your college football at Georgia Tech, and you had
Yeah.
the NCAA single bowl game rushing record. You made the first team All ACC in '03. In '04, you got the MVP for the humanitarian bowl, which is awesome. I love that. You also played running back for the Baltimore Ravens, 2006 to 2009. You're a pro athlete mindset expert. You're a video cast / podcast host of Game Beyond the Game presents Talk That Talk with Prince Daniels Jr. You're an author. You just released your recent book, Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete, Mastering the Balance Between Power and Peace, which I have right there. It's a great book. And you also have another book, Danny Yukon and the Secrets of the Amazing Lamp. Your Instagram is at Prince AD Jr. and also at Game Beyond the Game, Prince Daniels Jr. Thanks again for being here, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Wow,
So
that's
let's
a long list of stuff, man. Sounds like I'm busy.
That's right, you are. So let's jump right into it, bro.
Okay.
What does living an inspired life mean to you?
Wow. Living your true self, living from your spirit, living from your, what I call your in spirit. Uh, Inside of you is your spirit. And when you can use your spirit to inspire other people, those are the two words that are the root words of inspiration. So when you can live through your inspiration, your in spirit, then I think that you're living your highest inspiration or in spirit, whatever you ask. I'm sorry about that.
I love that. And, you know, you inspire me, Prince, because you have seemed to have found that early, like the idea of that, like in spirit. Like, where did that come from for you?
Uh, it came from inside of me. You know, I think it comes inside of everyone. But um, if I had to give you a visual, it's like that cartoon comic strip that depicts you have two men. They are hatching away or mining to find a diamond on the other side, and one actually keeps digging, the other one stops, and there's a bigger diamond right before he stops.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm the guy that's just continuing to keep going, you know, uh, and not be afraid of what's on the other side or how long it's going to take. You know, patience, persistence, and resilience is the key to success. So I just continue to go because I always know that there's going to be light on the other side, and I figured that out through my meditation. So, or using meditation as a tool to help me get to that point.
Right. And I know we're going to talk about meditation and mindfulness and all that stuff, but I'm really curious, like when you found this stuff, like this realm of mindfulness and meditation and spirituality as a aspiring pro athlete. Was it in college, or was it maybe after your pro career?
No, well, I actually found it in high school. In high school, my father,
Really?
my father was a former black belt, and my I have two uncles. They decided to join a monastery, and uh, I looked up to them. I have four uncles in total, but these two, I look up to all my uncles, but these two in particular, they showed me the way of the life of meditation and the practice of and learning how to adapt that into your life. And once I did that, the rest is history. So
So in high school, huh?
in high school, so I started in high school, and it was just about like 5 minutes, or maybe 3 minutes, sometimes 2 minutes, and I would just sit down and just close my eyes, and I'll open them. I opened them kind of like unconsciously, or like, I didn't feel anything. So, all right, cool. And I stopped. I stopped doing it. I didn't have a consistent practice because I didn't think anything happened to me. And it wasn't until college when I picked it. I would pick it back up sporadically here and there. And then in the league is when I really started to uh, practice a little bit more with meditation, because when I came into the league, I was already thinking, all right, so in 2 years I have to switch up my running back style. I can't be the same running back. I can't be running people over, or trying to run people over. I have to be able to run past people. Yeah, like my game has to
Right.
change up. And so I really started getting into meditation more because I was ready to ramp up my game. And uh, I started going to the monastery. That was like my first time really going to the monastery, and just really trying to dive deep into learning how to be in the zone.
Mm.
Uh, and when I first arrived at the monastery, oh no, my first few visits, I'll say my third visit. On my third visit, I had a breakthrough. And when I had this breakthrough, it just made me feel like I could do anything, like nothing was impossible. Uh, and uh, I was dialed in. I was dialed
Wow.
in, like I was connected to my mind, my body, and my spirit. And I went to the monastery. After I left the monastery, I felt like I was glowing, and I was just saying to
Mm.
myself, "This is it." And I was so I was so supremely confident, and I was just so calm.
Mm. Mm.
And I ended up uh, injuring myself. And once that happened, uh, all the energy that I had cultivated was kind of fizzled out,
Mm.
and it was like I ran into like I hit a brick wall. It's like what's wait my lights was shut out. I'm just like what just happened? What just happened? What just happened? So by that time um, I was I was caught in an illusion, hoping that I could still play football, and I could, but I was confused. I didn't know who to talk to, who to say,
Mm.
who to ask the right questions, what I should do. Agents, I started jumping around from agent to agent until I didn't have an agent at all, and nobody wanted to pick me up, and so it was just a process. But um, I'm sorry, I was rambling, but I
No,
wanted
that's good.
to, yeah, I wanted to share this because this is my journey. And so, yeah, I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to play in the NFL, 3 remarkable years, man. I won't take it back because I learned so much, and I learned what I could do uh, from being able to, from going from a 40 time of a 4.5 to a 4.2 in 6 weeks. Uh,
Whew.
just working on the small things. that make you faster, the small things that make you great. And I gained a lot of respect from those players uh, because you know I was I'm so determined. When it comes to that, I was determined to be one of the best running backs because and not for any acceptance or awards, but just because I knew I could. And
Love that.
uh, and I enjoyed the process and the progress that came with it. Uh,
Yeah.
you can get better. You can continue to refine yourself and get better and better and better. And sometimes it's so small. It's on like the as I mentioned in the book, the infinitesimal level where it can be so refined. It's like when an archer hits a target. They breathe into it, and the arrow is just an extension of them, and they let go.
I love that.
It hit the target. And so, if you feel that there is never a point where you can stop growing, because we never stop growing. We're constantly evolving, and you can go with the flow of the evolution, then you're pretty much in the zone. Yeah.
I love that,
Yeah.
man. I want to go back a little bit to the idea of going to a monastery. But before we continue, is there any chance you could turn the fan off just for a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I came from my remote. My daughter.
Oh, okay, cool. That's better. I turned mine off too.
All right, cool.
We'll cut this part out, but I want to go back to the idea of going to the monastery. I want to know where that idea came from. So you said you were in your pro career, so you're playing for the Ravens. What was the moment that you said, "Hey, I should go to a monastery right now"?
The moment to go to the monastery was, what was that moment? I had a dream one night, and I had a dream that I saw this ball of energy, but I could not identify what the energy was. And so I was just saying, well, okay, I want to check out the monastery. I want to check it out. I've never been. I want to go, and I just had this surreal and weird dream, or should I say nebulous dream. I just want to see what it's about. And it's like I watched enough movies, Kung Fu Panda, Kung Fu Hustle, The Last Avatar, just these shows that talk about the principles of life. And so I went, and it was funny because what I was seeing with my eyes wasn't like the real thing. As I told you, in my dream, I saw a light, but it was more that I felt the light. So in person, when I seen this other person or being, they had that same energy that I felt in my dreams. And so that's when I knew. I said, oh, okay, all right, I'm supposed to be here. I was like, okay, I've been looking for you.
Wow.
And the way that I describe it is, if you're ever in the crossfire of danger, or if you're in the presence of danger, your first reaction is to like get the hell out of there, right?
Right. Fight or flight kind of thing.
Fight or flight type of thing. I felt the same energy, but it wasn't something to run from. It was more like a pure type of energy. But at the same time, I was just like, what do I do? Oh my goodness. and I was just sit, like sit, and that's when, you know, that's when I started like listening, like, okay, sit, all right, because I didn't know what to
Wow.
do. Because a lot of times you'll be like, man, forget this. This is too much, you know. And a lot of
Right.
times we walk away from something that's too much. And so I
Right.
sat there and I went with it, and that was my reasoning for visiting because of that. And so I had that dream, and I wanted to face it. I wanted to absorb it. Again, I was I I was in the NFL, so what I was looking to accomplish, I felt that it took a lot of uh, energy and a lot of confidence and discipline. So I went to the place where I knew that I could get that, and that was at the monastery. And so I wanted my goal was to merge being able to get into the zone
Mm-hmm.
and play at such a supreme level that it's I'm just having fun. I'm just,
Yeah.
you know, to that point where
Right.
it's like, this is fun. Like, hey guys, wow, you thought you could talk with me? I don't know why. Okay, all right, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. And every time I do it, I have fun, and every time I do it to my best ability, uh, and no one can stop me.
Mm. I love
Yeah,
that.
because I'm competing with myself, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and so uh, yeah, and so that was the reason why I went, man, and it
That's
turned into
cool.
something. Yeah, and it evolved into so much more. And so I'm very fortunate to be able to attend and go to a monastery. But for all the listeners, I don't recommend you going to a monastery because that's not the goal. But I am, if I may be, I am the conduit to sharing this information and my energy with others who are not looking to go to a monastery, but are looking to tap into their energy.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. It's tapping into that energy, and figuring out how, right? And so for me, this project is all about tools for whether it be the athlete or the coach or even an entrepreneur,
right.
tools to find inspired living and find out what that means to you. So, when you're not in the game, maybe you're not at practice, or you're maybe you're outside of your career, you're done, with playing pro football.
Right.
How do you find that feeling now? And what tools you could continue with the meditation, because I feel like that's a tool for this, but what other tools could you offer to find that feeling of inspired living?
Oh man, do the three things that get you going in life. You learn to strengthen your physical, your mental, and your spiritual each and every day.
Right.
Whether it's something small, it's just something that you commit to, and that's your foundation, that's your basis that you create. And for me, it's just more so very simple: uh, work out, read, and meditate every day.
Mm.
You know, and that's my simple three combination. You know, and then I throw in like finances there and business afterwards. But everything that I'm doing, I'm touching on the stuff that I need to touch on. So once I get that out of the way, or I just incorporate it into my day, I've strengthened myself, mind, body, and spirit. And so I continue to keep doing that. And eventually, uh, everything that I work towards, that will be incorporated into it. You know,
I
function.
love that, Prince. Yeah, man, that's great. I want to stay on meditation because now we're talking about it for a while, and because a lot of people, a lot of champions, a lot of a lot of world class athletes or high achievers that I've spoken with in this project have all kind of mentioned meditation as something that really helps them. And I want to ask you specifically about meditation because for a lot of us, including myself, it can be challenging, man.
Right.
Like specifically athletes or entrepreneurs, business owners, our mind is just going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you what tips or tools can you offer specifically for someone who's struggling with even the idea of just sitting and being quiet? Or even who's someone like me who's trying to practice it, but like, man, dude, like, to be honest, like after a couple minutes, I start I feel my mind start to go, right? I'm thinking about productivity. I'm thinking about the emails I got to do. I'm thinking about all this other stuff, and it's challenging for me to kind of sit like that. So yeah, I know it's like a long-winded question, but like, what can you offer for that person who's struggling with meditation?
So it's a number of things that I can offer. Let me see if I can offer three things.
Okay.
Uh, so your meditation doesn't have to be you being still and sitting, because the point of the meditation is uh, gaining awareness.
Right.
And so when your mind, so when you're sitting down, a lot of people so you can have a purpose and an intention, or not have a purpose and an intention. So if you have a purpose and an intention, then you are focusing on that purpose and intention. When you're not, when when you do not have a purpose or an intention, you are an observer, a witness. What you're doing, you're witnessing your thoughts, not
Mm-hmm.
reacting to them. And so a lot of times, the way our mind or ourselves is programmed, how our society has pretty much programmed us. Not no knock on the society.
No, but you're right. It's a lot of conditioning.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of conditioning, and
Yeah.
you have to break that conditioning by being able to sit and observe something, observe your thoughts. So if you're thinking about this, like, I was thinking about that. Okay. Thinking about that. Oh, I was thinking about that. Oh, okay. I was thinking about that. Okay. Well, just let me come back to just watching and allow for these things to pass without attaching to them. So you have a million and one thoughts in your brain, right? And with every thought that passes by, if you attach to all of them, it's like a dog barking at every car that passes by. You're going to be tired. And that's where you are putting your energy. So the goal of you is to cultivate your energy so you can gain awareness and become mindful and aware of how you use it and what you put your energy towards. If you're putting your energy towards shit, foul shit comes back to you. If you
Right.
put your
Right.
energy
Right.
towards great things come back to you. And it's a very simple law and principle of the universe. Just like there are four seasons, you know, those things, they never change and they stay consistent all around. So same for us.
I love that.
When you can understand those very basic principles, and you start to really understand how everything is concentric, meaning it, it all everything is connected, and it just
Yes.
lives, we live together.
I love that. I was watching one of your videos on YouTube, and someone asked you about the difference between prayer and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could go into that a little bit. From my understanding,
Yeah.
meditation is more listening to your own spirit and letting that spirit come through, like you said, like watching the thoughts. And I feel like prayer is more asking spirit something. Am I on the right track with that?
Yeah, you are. So the way that I've been able to gather my information and knowledge and my experience about prayer, prayer is more of a shorter meditation. And we also ask, in prayer as well,
Right.
and in some religious books, they talk about that. They speak about ask and you shall receive.
Right. Right.
but you ask, and a lot of times the blessings come through other people, through through trees, through accident, through so many possibilities, right? And a lot of times people don't know what to look for. And so when you pray for something, you're praying, but you're seeing it from one side.
Mm.
Uh, um, but prayer is the very start of being in a meditative space. That's why we pray, because there's something in prayer that allows for your energy to project itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're asking, you're asking, and
It's like
as
more specific, right? It's like
right,
specific. Yeah.
right, it's more specific, and then you get up, thank you, and you say thank you, and you get up, and that's a prayer, and that's beautiful, and prayers, we all need prayers. So when we speak about meditation, and it's not meditation versus prayer, it's just more so meditation and prayer. So now with meditation, you ask, and you have the opportunity to sit and wait and be patient and see how will the answer reveal itself for whatever that you ask for. And
Mm.
so you start to actually look within, with the tool of the practice of meditation. What happens is uh, as I mentioned before, you start to observe, right?
Yeah.
And as you start to observe, uh, the chatter, it dissolves. And because what happens is your mind is just like, your mind is used to, hey, over here, over here, over here, over here, over here. Get my attention, my attention. And after you allow for all the chaos to settle down, it's like, hey, what's that behind all the chaos?
Mm.
Oh, wow, what's this? And you start to see your level of awareness becomes heightened, because you're not distracted anymore by the thoughts. So that's what I mean by, like, no thoughts. There'll never be no thoughts. Thoughts are
Right.
thoughts. That's what the mind is made to do. The brain
Right.
is made to have thoughts, create thoughts. And so, um, with the meditation, you're basically, it's like you're observing how everything functions and moves, and how we're equally yoked. And then all of a sudden, everything just kind of settles, and your vision becomes a little clearer. You start seeing things, you start feeling things, you start realizing things, you start to become aware of, like, wow, I have an ability to do things, or say things, or have an impact on
Yes.
others. and and
Yes.
and when you realize that, that's when you start to realize, like, what's really inside of me. And so
Yes.
and then that's where your practice starts to develop. And
Oh,
like, who am I? like
right.
okay, so why did God make me? Oh,
Mm.
and
Love that.
you don't need a book to do this. I always, I wouldn't say challenge people, but I always ask people to think about, before there were books, like, what did we do? if we
Right.
if we didn't have any books, like, how do you figure out all the stuff? How do you evolve like this? Um, and so the one thing is by you sitting down and observing, you know, what's going on within, because back our ancestors used to observe, the galaxy, the stars, the constellation, and watch it and study it, and observe plants and how they grow and the seasons. And so we're just getting back to our core self. That's it, and
Love
just,
that, man.
yeah.
Yeah. You know what it makes me think of? it makes me think of, we all have this unique message, and a lot of us kind of don't know what that unique message is because
Right.
we're so externally focused, right? We're
Right.
always like, we'll use the phone, for example. We're just always in that thing. We're looking at social media. We're constantly looking at what other people are doing,
Right.
right? And so what's coming up for me as you talk about meditation and specifically the power of it, is that it can empower you to listen to that unique message, right? And to me, that's what's so cool about this project, is because my unique message, I feel like, is trying to share the idea of inspired living. That to me, like in our pre podcast talk, we were talking about that idea, that frequency, that vibration of just saying, you know what, like I listen. I'm listening to my unique message, and I'm allowing that unique message to impact not just others, but my own actions.
Right.
I'm
Right.
allowing that unique message to say, hey, I'm going to follow that more because
Right.
that's my message, you know? And to
Right.
me, that's so cool and that's powerful. And I want to talk more about the power and peace and that paradox. But to me, that is like kind of the number one thing that I would like to share with others is like, hey, everybody has a unique message that we are kind of meant to share. Right.
Exactly. Yep.
But before we do that, we have to get clear on it. Because if we start sharing messages that are not that unique message, that could be a little convoluted. That can get confusing,
Exactly.
right?
Very convoluted. You're correct.
Yeah. And so to me, I really love this idea of mindfulness. Let's get into that, because meditation is a tool. I feel like mindfulness is kind of the way,
Mm. Mm.
right?
It's like practicing the mindset of of the situation, anything that you encounter. You see it for what it is, and you try not to judge it.
Mm-hmm.
Good or bad, just
Mm-hmm.
see it. Uh, if it's good, then you apply it. If it's bad, then you still apply it, but you learn from the
Right.
lesson. You know,
Right.
but you try to stay away from all the judgmental thoughts and just be mindful of what you're doing. And if you set a goal for yourself, if you set if you looking to reach a milestone, they have this line for success, and it says success is, like an isolating line, but or they say it's not a straight line, but you can get really linear when it comes to reaching your goal for success, because
Sure.
it really comes down to the discipline, to whenever you become mindful of your energy. What are you giving your energy to? What are you putting your energy into? And when you start to become really mindful of that, then you start to realize, like, okay, I'm not putting my energy into my focus. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop and stay focused on this. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to focus on this. And that is what
Right.
allows you to get the things that you need to get done.
Right. Right. Well, so sorry, that was my manager.
No, 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 it's okay.
So so mindfulness in terms of sport. Let's talk about that, because I feel like this idea of being mindful in your sport, it doesn't really have to be sport. It could be your craft. But since we're both athletes, and since you played in the NFL at basically the highest level that you can get to in American sports, right? Like the idea of practicing and performing mindfully, what comes to mind when I say that, mindful practice or mindful performance?
Uh, just becoming aware of your ability to build on top of your gains. So
Yeah. What do you mean by that? That's cool.
you discover, like, if you work on, as an athlete, you learn all your strengths and you use your strengths. But when you get to this professional level, your strengths and your weaknesses, they start to become, they hold the same weight. And
Wow.
they're highlighted because everyone there is playing at such a high level. and and they are all working, to become better. And you have some working harder than others, and some that just command greatness, that just want to be great. Like it's just in them to be great, and that's something that you can't teach. They just want it, and I see it in a lot of players. Uh, I was able to see it in myself. That's why it's so easy for me to identify it in those players. But being mindful when you play is always looking to improve, never making the same mistake over
Right.
again, never allowing yourself to lose, the goal in mind. Like, yeah, you're not getting distracted by somebody, bumping into you or saying something to you, or the fan saying something to you, or just anybody saying anything to you. It's you become so mindful that you become so aware of the fact that you are mindful. It's like,
Can I jump in and say it
yes,
reminds me of this word unconditional,
unconditional. I love that word.
right? Because like I'm just trying to picture you, as a running back in the NFL, surrounded by the crowd, and you're managing the clock, and you have all this stuff going on, right? And like those are a lot. That's a lot of conditions, right? You got the coach telling you stuff, you got the quarterback telling you stuff, you got maybe you're doing an audible. There's like all this stuff going
Lineman,
on, right?
exactly.
Linemen, like all these things. You're looking at the linebackers who are trying to attack you, and
Right,
all this stuff, right? But
right.
like those are conditions that I feel like the more mindful you become as an
I love
athlete,
that.
to be all that stuff is like, yeah, it's there. I can see
Right,
it, but it's
right,
not
right,
affecting me.
right.
Right.
Like it's a non-factor. Right, exactly. It's there. That's why you're competing with yourself. So
Right.
it's like whenever you can fixate your focus and your mind on the touchdown, and you're running a route. I mean, you're running, and someone comes. You're like, "Excuse me, move out the way. Why are you trying to tackle me? Like, stop, 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 stop,
Excuse
stop,
me.
stop, stop." And it's a it's a very subtle gesture, like, uh. Like when you reach that level, it's like having all the answers to the test. Like when you reach it, it's like,
Mm,
yeah. Yeah, I had all the answers. Yeah, yeah, I
I
knew.
love that.
Yeah, and so it when you have all the answers to the test, you don't have to brag about what you do. You just do it.
Mm.
And and when you discuss it with other people, it's just like, what did you get? No big deal. Got an A. you know, because you don't want to. You're not trying to make people feel less than themselves, because they're giving it their all, and you just tapped into something and you've realized it. And so from that point on, that's how you operate. Like, let's go. Like, oh, all right. Oh, they're ready to go. Turn it up to, turn it up another notch. Like, okay, all right. So they must not. It's like Dragon Ball Z. Like they go to another level. It's just like, did you think my energy level is there? And so that's how you build, on that unconditional part. So I love that. It's like
I
unconditional
love
love.
it. Yes,
Yeah,
it is. It's very similar to unconditional love.
exactly.
Another thing that comes up for me is when I think of mindful, specifically for, I love your title, by the way, of the book, The Ultimate Athlete,
Mhm.
and that the ultimate athlete is inside all of us. I love that concept, and
Yes.
we'll get into that a little bit more. But what also comes up for me is the present moment, right? Like I feel like that word mindful is, and just the idea of mindfulness in sport
Mhm.
is to try to is basically telling us this moment is
Right.
what matters.
Yep.
It's not the past. The
Right.
future is undecided. So stay right here. So, and I think I'd like to talk about the zone and the flow, and because that's kind of, I feel like that's where all that stuff happens in that moment.
Right.
But my question is clock management, time management, specifically for a sport like yours that is just a constant countdown, because that can be challenging, right? I know the basketball too, where like there's this constant clock management where you're trying to stay in that present the whole time, and be mindful, but you're also on that clock. So can you talk a little bit about that management and the, the balance there?
Yeah. So the idea whenever you go into a game, you go in like, I'm going to dominate, and as you mentioned, all these conditions, start to become present and alive.
Sure.
And managing the clock, uh, if in the game of football, which is more of a team-oriented sport, it depends on everyone. It depends on everyone. So, like, in a game of tennis or golf, managing the clock, it's just managing yourself. And it's the same thing when it comes to team sport, managing yourself, just being aware. Like, every second matters. That's how we measure our waking moments, is by seconds, right? And then we're going from seconds to minutes and to hours and so forth. And it's your ability to stay focused throughout that time. So when you are, when to take advantage of the time that you have, and when you don't, you lose focus, and you come out of that space, and then you get distracted because you can't get back to that space because now you're focused on your emotions. Like, oh man, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did that. You just moving on, moving
Right.
forward, and uh, man. So I missed that. I missed that.
It's
I was
okay.
trying to make a point. Um,
It's
what
okay.
was your question one more time?
Yeah, no, it was just about mindfulness and clock management, time
Okay,
management.
okay. Sorry. Please cut that
Yeah,
out.
it's okay.
So the when you're looking at the time and you're in the zone, nothing is impossible. So time really doesn't exist. And so you're not looking to manage the clock. You're just looking to uh, stay in the zone as long as you possibly can. Because Einstein mentioned it, like, beyond the space and the gravity, time doesn't exist.
Right. Right.
And so
So it's more of an illusion, right?
it's definitely an illusion. And so you find that within your meditation, and you
Mm.
find that within your breach of being in the zone, your encroachment of being in the zone, using some football
Sure.
terminology.
Yeah.
But when you hit that space, that realm of being in the zone, it's the time is like, yeah, it doesn't really exist. Like that. Whoa. Whoa. All right, touchdown. It's seriously just like that. It's and after, whenever you come out of it, you're like, oh, okay, I can celebrate. Yeah, let's go. But you get lost in those few seconds, and you feel that you have an out of body experience. Uh, and
Right.
and that's all we all interpret it based upon our level of intellect. Like, I feel like an out of body experience, but it's an inner body experience. That's being portrayed as out of body. But like, as I mentioned, once you start looking within, then you start realizing, like, wow, this came from inside of me. I can do amazing things. And for anybody that gets it misconstrued,
Yeah.
when you do things like that, that's you are like praising the creator, the source, because that's where it's coming from.
Mm.
Your energy.
Right.
Yeah. And so uh, I don't, again, don't do religious stuff, but like that the source, the being, has never forsaken you and never will, because they're in you. So it's always with you at every step of the way, no matter what. So nothing is outside of you, everything is inside of you. I mean, the way that the world's created, yes, that's also, the creator, but yeah, your ability to be whom you are, that beautiful spiritual being, having a human experience, it comes from within.
And so building on that, not everyone can play in the NFL. Not everyone
Right.
can be an amazing running back or just an amazing athlete. But I love the idea behind your most recent book, which is basically part of your message is saying everyone has the athlete inside of them. So I want to try to make this mindfulness thing a little bit more relatable to someone who maybe doesn't feel like an athlete, who doesn't feel that.
Mm.
Maybe is someone who's a little bit more creative, or maybe someone who's in business, or someone who's very conditioned by society. How can they practice this mindfulness, this idea of that zone that you're talking about? Like, what are some things that you could offer that person?
Don't wake up looking at your phone. Don't let that be the first thing you look at, because you can never become aware of the zone if you start your day off in technology and not start your day off by checking in with yourself. And so, as I mentioned before, it's a practice. And it's one of those practices that you have to continue to practice even when you don't feel anything is happening. You don't feel
Right.
any type of progression. And that's what we're constantly looking for, some type of progression. How can we get to this point, or how can we get from point A to point B? And tell me, even in business, like, where do I come in? How do I start in? How do I start when I come in? How do I look when I end? And so, like, what product am I buying? What is this? What does this look like?
Right.
Like, what am I getting? What am I spending my money on? So the practice of mindfulness and meditation allows for you to become aware of yourself, because you don't see yourself as a person. Everybody, we are characters, but we don't even see ourselves as a person, because we help other people out before we help ourselves. We wait until it gets bad to try and, oh, I need to go to the doctor now, instead
Right.
of do little small things to check in with yourself. Like, how am I when you close your eyes, and like, am I doing good? Am I feeling well? Like, where's my body hurting? Talk to me, body. Listen to your body. Uh, you we don't do that. And since we don't do that, uh, the practice of mindfulness and meditation is really good to help you uh, take some prevention measures, because prevention is better than the cure.
Sure.
So if you sit down and practice a little mindfulness or breath exercise, or just body scan, and check in with yourself, then you start to realize, like, oh, okay, I have a body and it's alive and it talks to me and it's actually a person. If I treat it well, in the same way when I treat other people, when I tell someone that I love you, it actually makes them feel good. They get this euphoric feeling of like, oh, I'm accepted, I'm loved, I'm wanted. And when you can actually learn how to do that exact same thing for yourself, when someone else says it to you, it becomes like icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
And so practicing this allows you to see that you are a person as well, and it helps you start to take care of yourself. And so people that do not practice sports, people that are in the day-to-day hustle and bustle,
Yep.
get a chance to just take a mental paradise and be able to disconnect from the external things, disconnect and reconnect to what's inside of you. And the reason why that is very beneficial, because the mindset of struggling can no longer exist the deeper you look within. Uh,
Love that.
the lack of confidence uh, dissolves, and the confidence rises and becomes brighter inside of you. Just everything that you fear, when you start going within, you face the fears, and then all of a sudden the fears disappear. That's how it can help you. That's how it can be beneficial for you, because it goes beyond just like helping you in certain things, but it actually creates neuroplasticity, or new nerves in your brain, in a form called neuroplasticity. You grow new gray matter, and these things give you an opportunity to see how incredible your body is, how incredible your mind is, how incredible your spirit is. And when you start to become more aware of whom you are, then we will be able to live in this world with technology and realize that we were the creators of technology, and not start to realize that the technology created us.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important for people to check in with themselves. Don't get on the phone early in the morning. Don't let that be the first thing, because we're on a rhythm throughout the day. The sun rises, boom, it hits its peak. The sun rises, and then it continues to keep rising slowly and slowly. It hits its peak at noon. It comes, your energy goes down, comes back up. Moon comes out, boom, go to sleep, wake back up. So there's this rhythm that we're on. And so when you start your day off with a little bit of social media and you get down, you're going to look for social media again to pick you back up, and so forth. And the cycle continues, the pattern continues, the rhythm continues. But when you start your day off by checking in with you, that becomes the high of your day. So whenever you get down, you check back in with you. Boom, check back in with you.
I love that.
And throughout your day, you start to become more aware of your wins and not your likes on social media. And then that your wins is what excites you.
Right.
Your wins is something that you live towards. And that's why it's very important to realize like how to start your day off. And then also start your day off with drinking water in the morning time. At least 2 glasses of water, as nasty as it may sound, or as bland as it may sound. Just start your day off with that, and allow for your digestive system to regulate itself. You become aware of all the basic things that you need to do to take care of your body, and this is so important, because what's wealth if there's no health next to it? So,
Right.
You want to be, if you don't have any control of your life, this tool allows for anyone to start to gain control of their life. And that is the reason why I wrote this book. Yes, it says Mindfulness for Ultimate Athletes, but it's also teaching every individual, because we're all human beings. We just put titles on ourselves to learn how to master the balance between their power and their peace.
I love that, man. I wanted to stay on winning and losing for a second, because we had talked about that before a little bit. And you just mentioned like looking for wins and how the law of attraction kind of like gives you more wins if you're looking for more wins, if you identify wins. So I wanted to stay on that for a second for day-to-day life, right? Not necessarily within one's game or craft, but like walking down the street or driving. Before you get to that, since you mentioned a morning routine, for me, I recently, thanks to Charlie Rocket, shout out to Charlie. He created this movement about winning streak, and he started with this iced coffee when he goes to Starbucks, and he just decided like, I'm on a winning streak because I got this coffee and it's all this happiness in there for $2.40. Like, I'm on a winning streak, and it's kind of a funny thing, but it's now a thing. Even a city, I can't remember which city, but a city actually took that slogan, #winning streak. We're on a winning streak. I really like that idea. And I think it ties in with what you're talking about, because that is a choice you make when you wake up in the day. I am on a winning streak. Yes, and so when you decide that, you start to see wins in everything, and then everything becomes a blessing. Even the person that just cut you off, maybe they cut you off, right? And instead of throwing up a finger, you say, man, like that's actually a win for me for whatever reason. And you create the reason, right? But you have fun with that, right? And so maybe someone is having a tough day and they bring it out on you, right? They like for whatever reason, but within that exchange, because you're looking for a winning streak, maybe that person becomes a client. right, for you, you know? And so all
Right.
these things, this choice that you make in the morning, I'm on a winning streak. Um, that to me is so powerful, right? Can you just speak to that a little bit, specifically coming from a pro athlete point of view?
Yeah, coming from a pro athlete, coming from a human being, coming from uh, slash monk. um,
Yep.
that is the space. That is definitely a mindset, and that's something that you'll also attract as well. I mean, you said it. Right? You see it. It starts to become as clear as day. You have basically professed and projected this out into the universe,
Right.
and you're like, I'm on a winning streak. And basically your mind molds its environment to a winning streak, and what you perceive or your understanding of what a winning streak is. And so when you say that over and over again, your consciousness and your subconsciousness just kind of opens up to where, like, oh, winning streak. Oh, and so you're able to identify that winning streak,
Yes.
and it becomes apparent, and and you start to see, like, wow, I'm really
Yeah.
on a winning streak. I'm going to keep this up.
And then it creates momentum. See, momentum, I think, is the key, right? Like, and I'm just
Right.
thinking of you for as an example, as a running back. Like, once you get a first down,
Yeah.
like that head coach wants to give you the ball again,
Yeah.
right?
Feed
It's
me. Feed
yeah,
me.
you just got 10 yards, boom, let's go get another 10, right?
Right. Right.
Or even if you get 5 or 6, boom, hey, you just got 5 or 6, let's give him the ball again, you know? And like
Right.
that
Right.
momentum,
Yeah.
I think is the key,
Right.
right? So like
Right.
creating, because it could go both ways, right? You could have momentum in the losing area as well
Right.
if you keep projecting that,
Right.
or like we're talking about winning streak and winning and the idea of winning. It feels good, man. It's like almost a physical sensation. Like, yeah, like
Right.
I am on a winning streak. I'm
Right.
winning,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And it's almost like tricking yourself in a sense, but it's more just having fun with it. I
Right.
think I think the keys are momentum and fun. And
That's
then
it.
you get to decide how the momentum works or how the fun shows itself up,
Right.
you know?
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah. No, you're so right. It's all of that and the above. So it's so
cool.
many things that play into it.
Yeah, well, let's jump right into flow, because
Okay.
you had mentioned the zone, and I do
Hmm.
want to delve into this because this
Okay.
is interesting from an athlete point of view, a coach point of view, an entrepreneur point of view, or an everyday person point of view. How to find that flow, you know? So I want to ask you this question first as an athlete, and then as an author, actually. Can you identify when you are in the game or in the flow or in the zone, locked in? Can you identify that moment?
Yeah, you can. You can.
What does it feel like? And how? How do you? First, yeah, just take that, run with that.
Uh, it's so it happens in the most subtle way. Uh, yeah, I've heard Kobe Bryant speak about it, and rest in peace. Shout out to Kobe Bryant and his family. Right,
R.I.P. Kobe
right,
and Gigi.
right, and and the whole family and everyone else that was on the plane. But time doesn't exist. Like, you become warped in this space, and you don't hear anything except like what's going on inside of you. Like, you hear the crowd, but you hear a little bit more silence than the crowd.
Mm.
And it's just like, yeah, the crowd, and you don't you don't react to nothing. It's like your mind, as I was mentioning to you, like, you observe, and your body just takes over. It just does what it's been trained to do,
Mm.
and you basically talk everything out in your head. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna if you're in a basketball game, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to pull up. I'm going to shoot on him. Just shoot three real quick. Shoot. Okay, cool. All right, next. Okay, all right. Get open real quick. He cannot beat me. Dunk on him. Boom. Football. It's just you're in the right place at the right time. Like you just show up. That's on defense. Just boom, hitting people, just tackling people, just around the ball. You just want to be around the ball, just like wherever the ball is, that's where you are. Boom. You tackle somebody, you make somebody fumble, you pick up the fumble, you make an interception. You're in the zone. You can't be stopped.
Or how about running with the ball like you as a running back and
Right.
cutting and not even thinking about left or right. You're just cutting, right?
Just doing it. Yeah, exactly. I was going to get to that as well. Just like being on the offense, as a running back, it's just like, wow, did that hole just open up? Wow, that was really big. Okay, I'm going to run through it. Shoot. And you feel it instead of see it. Just running past people, you don't really like put your stiff arm up. You just realize like, oh, I'm so much faster than you. I'm moving at such a faster pace. I don't have to, put my arm out or hand out, and or I'm going to run right past you because I know I'm much faster than you. Or man, once I get in this open field, yeah, you guys are going to have a hard time trying to catch me.
This episode is brought to you by DAF Global. If you're looking to start a podcast or you have a podcast and you're looking for editing services, hit up my guys Oliver and Garrett at DAF Global. They're awesome. They help me with this podcast and they take care of all kinds of different services like editing and audio enhancement, and they're great to work with. They're also offering a 10% discount to all Within the Game listeners. So hit my guys up at DAF Global on Instagram and also on their website, www.dafglobal.co.uk. Back to the show.
It's a touchdown. So that's some of the things that go on in tennis. Like in tennis, I love. I don't play tennis myself, but I love the sport because it's that sport where you have to literally talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to coach yourself. You have to take all of the information and the knowledge that your coach taught you and incorporate it on the court while you're there, imano to imano, male or female.
Right.
And you got to battle, and you have to endure, and you have to strategize, and you have to stay focused. And you shouldn't lose focus in your emotions. You should always maintain your emotions because you're always going to have another opportunity to use that energy that you would probably use for a cantankerous moment or a moment where you're frustrated and you have this outburst. But if you maintain that energy, another opportunity is going to present itself, and you use that energy to move forward. Because you could have lost whatever that set, but you come back and you maintain the energy and use that energy over and over again. And guess what? You start to build the momentum. You build the momentum. You maintain your discipline and your focus. Boom, the mistakes start to slimming down, and then now you start to make less mistakes than your opponent. Then after that, your opponent becomes frustrated, and by that time you're back on top. And when you're on top, you stay so locked in that there's nothing that they could do because you realize like, oh, I've connected. Boom, you cannot beat me. Game. These are some of this is what the zone feels like if I had to describe it. But it's so many other things that go into it. But I've experienced it at an early age, like when I was 5 years old and learning how to ride my bike without training wheels. And I never ridden a bike before. Experienced it in college when I was at Georgia Tech. Ran a touchdown on Florida State. And we hadn't beaten them in years, and I had a dream the night before that I was gonna score a touchdown. I think I put that in my book. I had a dream that I was going to score a touchdown. I just remember it in my dream. I was running, and I dove into the end zone. And so the next morning when I woke up, my eyes were the only thing my eyelids were the only thing that popped open. And my eyes were closed like this, and it just popped open like, and I didn't move. I was just like, I'm about to score a touchdown. And I just knew it because I saw it in my dreams. And sure enough, in the game, I ended up scoring a touchdown. I dove into the end zone. And during that time, everything slowed down. And it was actually in game speed. But for me, I was able to see everything. And I was talking to myself, and it seemed like I was taking my time. It was like, hey, there's so-and-so and so-and-so. Hey, wow, this hole just opened up so big, I'm going to run that way. And then someone told me don't stick out my stiff arm and maintain my speed. And just like, yeah, wow, this is awesome. Like, I'm actually running. Like, wow. Oh, shit, I'm actually running.
It's a fun place to be, right? When you're in that zone.
Yeah, when you're in the zone, everything is just effortless. Everything is just
effortless.
You know, you're not trying to do anything. Just
no resistance, right? No resistance.
None whatsoever.
Right.
And when you get in this space, like everyone experienced the zone on some level. Like you can go to work and you become so enthralled in your work that you're doing. You look up and you're just like, man, it's 3:00 already. Like, whoa, you know. And you started at 8, but you've been having such a productive day. You become so immersed in what you're doing at the moment in time. Time doesn't even exist, and you become less aware of time, and you don't really focus on the time management part. You just focus on what you're doing because that's what you have control over. You don't have control over the time. And so
I love that.
You know, you don't even have to use the time. The time is just there to keep everything structured and to have an endpoint. But for the most part, when you get into the zone, like, you cannot be stopped. You cannot be stopped unless you lose sight of the focus that you have, or you become too. Your emotions become more overpowering,
right?
Than being in the zone, because that's what usually takes people out of the zone is their emotions.
Which makes you judgmental, right? And then you start judging yourself and your opponent, or or outside circumstances.
Well, it just leads to your energy just being dispersed. That's what it just comes down to. Just like for a minute, your energy was so focused, hyper focused on going here, and then all of a sudden you bring these emotions in, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Right.
And so your energy disperses like that, and you just slip out of the zone. So
that's really cool. I really appreciate you sharing that and making it relatable to people who are at work too. That's that's a main goal of this project. And the next question I have for you about flow is, can you practice it?
Yeah. That's what the tool of meditation is for. Like easy example, a surfer. They practice catching a wave, right? And they see it. They know the pedal. Lie down on their board. They use their arms, pedal, 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 pedal. Boom, jump up and ride the wave. And but they are aware that a wave is coming, that they can ride the wave, and so they already have the tool, which is a surfboard, to be able to ride it.
That's cool. I like that.
So what happens with us human beings, people, you have to just become aware of the flow. Like, but you have to have a tool, which is your meditation, your mindfulness. You practice those, and when the right time comes, you catch the flow, and just like And once
I love that.
Once you realize that you're in it, it's either you can tell somebody, but you'll lose it, or you can keep it to yourself and just continue to be in it and don't judge it. See it for what it is, and just be happy that you were able to identify that you were aware that you were in the zone.
Mm.
or in the flow. And yeah, it's that simple. It's the more of a of just being thankful for that moment.
Mm.
You know.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's another recurring theme of my project, which is gratitude, man. I feel like I've mentioned this before, but I'm gonna say this to you. I feel like my goal for all this, and when I talk to people like you and just talk to people who are kind of interested in thinking of these ideas, I feel like we all have. If you can visualize Batman, Batman has, not just a cape and a mask, but he's got this tool belt, right?
Mhm.
And on that tool belt are kind of all these things that I feel like, meditation, mindfulness, gratitude, like I feel like these things, the better we get at all these things, the more access we have to our own tool belt, the more constructive we can be for our own tool belt. Oh, we need to add another tool. Cool. I'm just going to put that right here,
All
you
right.
know,
Compassion.
and then, yeah, and passion. Yeah. And then we can access all these things in these moments
Yep.
of, because not every moment is going to be perfect or in the flow, or
Right.
we're not going to be grateful all the time, but the more access we have to these tools, we can access those in those moments, I guess, is
Right.
what I'm trying to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so
And
I appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, no, you're welcome, man. Yeah, gratitude. That's the key. That is the key.
Yeah.
I was specifically told by one of the monks that was the key, and so that's
Yeah.
when I was like, really, uh, and I really
And
started.
it just feels good.
It
Yeah,
does.
it feels
It
good to
does.
be grateful, man. Like, and going back to the whole winning streak, like that's a big part of winning streak, is to find things that you're grateful for immediately.
The
Like, you could
gratitude.
check in with your body like right away. I'm like, man, I'm so thankful for my body, or my health, or
That's the
my
most. That's
family.
very powerful. That's a very powerful exercise that anyone can practice. You know, just touching on your body, but like, I'm grateful. Like, thank you.
Right,
Just
right,
being alive, just being able to breathe, because that's the bridge between being alive and deceased. You know, if you're breathing, you're alive. If you're not breathing, you are deceased. And it's very
right.
simple. It's a very simple concept, but we tend to not uh, uh, give it much attention, or be
Yeah.
mindful of it. We take it for
Or
granted.
or forget, right? Or forget.
Don't forget exactly, man. And so, these are the things that you want to be mindful of. Um, yeah, that way you can live a long life, man, and enjoy it.
Well, speaking of that, it's a great, perfect time for talking about this video that I found, where you discussed learning the 5 lessons for life,
Right.
right? Do you remember this video that I'm talking about?
Uh,
You
the, it's
it was part of an ebook thing that you were giving
the
out.
five essential lessons of life, right? How to live
Five
life
essential
to
lessons of
success.
life. So
Yeah,
I wrote them down here, but I was wondering if you could just briefly just go through them real quick and
yeah,
just kind of share that.
yeah. Uh, so you name them, and I'll elaborate.
Okay. Okay, cool. So number one was find your purpose, visualize your future.
Right. So uh, when you look within yourself, like, and as I mentioned before, you get rid of all of the worries, the fears, and anxiety. That basically dissolves. And so once everything dissolves, then you start to find your purpose. And when you find your purpose, or before you find your purpose, you have a vision, that becomes clear. And so your purpose, your purpose driven, allows for you to set on track to fulfill that purpose. And so it's always great to really understand how to find your purpose when you're lost. And one, you start using the tool of mindfulness and meditation to help you get closer to your purpose. And that vision is like the spark, the visual spark that you need to set out on the path. Like, if you're traveling somewhere, you have to have a destination, because if you don't
Sure.
know where
Yeah.
you're heading to, or anything, then you're going to blindly end up in a place that you don't want to be. And the universe is just like, well, you said that you wanted this, but you wasn't specific, but I gave it to you anyway. So yeah. So lesson number one, having a purpose and a vision.
Love that. And it reminds me of like, if you don't have that, you're just kind of a boat with no rudder. So you're just kind of floating, but there's no
Well,
like,
that's
yeah,
it. And the ocean will take you wherever it wants to.
right, right. All right. So number two was make your game plan, speaking things into existence and manifesting.
Yeah. So, uh, with anything, on a very high elite level, in professional sports, there's a game plan for the game that you have. And so, if you don't come in there with a plan ready to execute it, then uh, you're going to be lost.
Right.
And so, these are like simple things that we need to be mindful of by writing our game plan down, creating a vision board, having something to look towards every day in the morning when you wake up. You see that, uh, because if you're every day waking up in the morning to look at your phone, it's not going to help you get closer to your vision. As I mentioned before, if you're talking about success, they say the line is not a straight line, but if you wake up looking at your vision board and getting closer to that vision and not looking at your phone in the morning, guess what? That's making you one iota of an inch, closer to your goal. So
That's great. I love that because, I'll be the first to admit I'm guilty of looking at the phone, but the more you talk like this, it makes me not want to do it. It makes me want to create my own vision board because we're actually looking at a bunch of other people's vision boards as we
that's
look at social
it.
media.
That's
Yeah.
it. And you forget about yours. And you forget
Wow.
about yours. It's good to help people along the way of your journey because we're all on the journey. We're on an infinite journey. So it's good to
Yeah.
help people along the way, but don't go out your way. Don't deviate off your path to help people. Help
Hmm.
people along the way, and where you can see it's beneficial and you can sharpen each other's iron, and instead of trying to go help that one person so they can go help another person, and so forth.
Right.
And that trend begins in that manner.
And I think we're both on the same page when we talk about the phone thing and social media. Like me and you connected through social media, so like
Right, right,
it can be a tool for positivity and
right,
synergy. Right,
right,
synergy is what we're kind of looking for. But
right,
in terms of like getting lost on the scroll like this,
right,
like
right, right.
yeah,
Like you have to understand, like technology is not a part of us. It's a part that we've created, from us, and
right,
so we have to uh, make sure that we maintain our basics. Because once we lose our
right,
fundamentals, then it's like you don't have anything to stand on, to stand for, or you don't have a foundation. And
right,
so you're not missing anything if you
right, 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 right.
if you check it with yourself. But since there is a dopamine that's released in your brain, it's like, ooh, somebody texted me. Ooh, somebody emailed me. Ooh, somebody sent me a message on social media. Ooh, somebody liked my picture. Ooh, somebody sent. And those, go ahead.
No, no, no. You go. You'll
Oh,
finish, finish,
okay.
finish.
And those are the things that create the excitement in your life. So
Right.
when you get down, as I mentioned before, you get back on social media to pick you back up, and you rely on that, and you rely on that every day, and that becomes a habit, and that is your habit, and that's your fix, and what you cannot live without. But if you can check in with yourself every morning, that becomes your habit. And once that
Yep.
becomes your habit, social media becomes second, and you learn how
Yes.
to enjoy social media instead of being so close into it. You actually enjoy it. Like, oh, okay, I'm not missing on anything because I had a chance to spend time with myself. Now I can dive
Totally.
into now I can dive into this virtual world.
Totally. And I was just going to say before we get to the rest of this list, because it sparked this idea, because I had mentioned Dr. Michael Gervais to you before, and shout out Dr. Gervais. He's
Dr.
awesome.
Gervais, what's up?
Sports psychologist for the Seattle Seahawks,
Nice.
and just works with a lot of world-class performers. But he recently told me about FOPO. And FOPO
Yeah.
directly relates to what you're talking about with the social media and the technology thing, because what he told me, and FOPO stands for fear of other people's opinions.
Mm.
So he told me that FOPO is the number one thing that we all have to be aware of, speaking of mindfulness and awareness, like we need to be aware of that because we're all kind of a little bit of victims of FOPO right now in this world. We're all just like, hey, what does that person think of me? Right. And like that can be a very slippery slope
Right.
going down that path
Mm-hmm.
because it can dictate action.
Right.
Dictate our action when and maybe it's not fear, but it's for that acronym, it's fear, but
Right.
maybe it's just consideration,
Right.
right? We're so like, I guess it is fear. I guess we're so afraid of other people's opinions that it can dictate our path, and then we deviate from our dreams. Oof,
Yeah.
we don't want to do that,
Right. No,
you know?
not at all. Not at all. Mike Tyson said it best. It's like, everyone has a plan until they get in the ring, they get hit, and um, uh, you're definitely going to get some resistance whenever you are looking to follow any type of goal, dream, or reach the pinnacle, and in this world. But the thing that you have to do is just really stay focused on what you have to focus on.
Yeah.
And we do get caught up in other people's opinions. Uh, that's that is that's the human nature, to be able to feel accepted. Uh,
Right.
but whenever you can learn how to accept yourself, as I mentioned before, you are a person. And when you learn how to accept yourself, then you're not looking for the acceptance anymore. Just living
Right.
and doing what you need to do and focus on the things that you need to focus on.
Right. Right. I
It's
love that.
simple, but we tend to overthink it, and
Right.
sometimes just have to just give it something very just little energy or no energy at all, and, and keep moving. Like, man, life is really fun when you can become the master of balancing the way you like disperse your energy, your power, and you go on to your peace. And it's really beautiful, man. It really is.
I know, and that's what your book is all about. And I started reading it, and you have this really cool way where you discuss that it's almost a dichotomy, but it's really a synergy about the power and peace.
Right.
And it's a really interesting idea that we all have this power, but we all have this peace. And the
Right.
more you can practice the control of both, the more your whole world opens up because you can allocate power correctly. You can allocate your own peace correctly. And it's a great idea. And it's a really, it's actually very powerful.
Yeah.
Like it's empowering when you
Yeah.
think like that. You
Right.
know that you have this power. You know that you have this peace. So I
Right.
appreciate how you kind of, like, I like how you started with power. I think you started with power in the
Strong
book.
power. Yeah.
I like that because that is empowering. It's like, hey, like something that it sparks in me is limitlessness.
Mm.
Right. When you have this source that is there, then it's up to you to practice how to cultivate that. Then your whole world, there's no limits.
It's not none whatsoever. None whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's almost, it's like the movie Limitless.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, yeah, the things that I've been able to experience and be exposed to has allowed me to see that okay, nothing is impossible. um and unless you really believe it is, like, your thoughts dictate like how you perceive things. And as you mentioned before, just the power of I'm on a winning streak.
Yeah.
You start to see that,
Yeah, man.
and so forth. And um if you want to change anything in the world, it starts with you, and you have to change yourself.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you start to make a difference, and that difference impacts others, and it allows for so many incredible things to happen in the world. Like,
Yeah, man.
most people are like, well, what do you mean? Give me an example. And I can sit up there all day and try to give an example, so I can relate to every single individual that has different personalities and internalizes and interpret things completely different. So my words are inadequate to really describe it. It's just something that you are able to experience and see and just become aware of it. Like, okay. Like I just
Yeah.
saw that. You know, it's okay. Oh. Sorry about that. My headphones just popped out of my head.
Oh, no, no, it's all good. Fumble and recovery at the same time, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
And got
So
the first down. And got the
right,
first down.
right.
All right. Well, let's finish up this list because there's
Okay.
three more. So number three was getting coaches and mentors.
Yeah, yeah. And so getting coaches and mentors is really good because a lot of times we're looking at things, you know, ground level, and we're trying to search for something that's uh, in the distance, and you're not able to see it because you're on the ground level. But uh, getting a coach and a mentor creates that vantage point. It creates that 30,000 feet above the ground. So we're seeing things that you're not able to see. Because something that you've been looking for that's pretty far actually becomes much closer whenever you have a different vantage point. And so that's why I emphasize on making sure that you have a coach and a mentor, because they can help guide you in a lot of things that you do. And for me, I took a spin from my experience where I was in need of a mentor and a coach. Uh, during during my years playing football, but it was somebody that I wasn't able to trust myself to trust someone to mentor me. But I understand how important and just having a mentor and coach is, because you want to tag along with someone that has been there before or can help you avoid the pitfalls,
Right.
if there are any, or just give you the mind frame and the mindset to succeed and advance. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, coaches and mentors are key to anyone's success in anything. Since you mentioned Mike Tyson, I recently saw a video of him getting back in shape, getting ready for another fight at like 50 something years old.
Right.
And I was watching his trainer like taking all those punches, and it's just like, but without that guy, I mean,
Right.
I guess Mike could try his best on his own, but like you really got to have a trainer, you got to have a coach, you got to have a mentor. And I love the idea of mentor because a coach and a trainer, that's great. They're gonna guide you, but a mentor is different. A mentor, I think you even said in this video, like the interviewer asked, would you pay for a coach or a mentor? And I think you said something like, well, a mentor shouldn't really necessarily be a paid thing. The mentor should want to mentor you. Right. And I really resonate with that because,
Right.
once you get to a certain level of success,
Mm-hmm.
part of you, let's just call it financial success. Part of you wants to share that and like help others get there too. Right.
Right.
And,
Right.
and that's a big part of it, and it doesn't even have to be financial. It could be athletics,
Right.
right? If you had success, you want to help the next kid come up and let
Right.
them have success too, because for two things. Number one, it just kind of feels like the right thing to do. And number two, it really makes you feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
That fulfillment is I think a huge part of inspired living.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's about. Just giving back, being able
Yeah.
to give back, because that's a, a feeling of fulfillment. Like you've done your job, like you are giving back what you've earned, because it's the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
so
And especially, yeah. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. And I was just gonna say, especially when they appreciate it, right? Like I work with kids, and when they say thank you, coach, like man, that does mean a lot,
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Because they've learned something, and so when you learn something, it's like, ha, like, can I go and apply this right now? Like, yeah. And the
Yeah.
minute you go and
And
apply it and you see that it works, it's like, wow, thank you, coach.
right.
Thank you. You just made
Yeah.
me better as a athlete and as a human being. So thank you.
Yes. And here's one more thing on that. Because my roommate, shout out Alfred Brown. He's my roommate. He's a coach himself, and he's awesome. But I just overheard him talking about this yesterday with someone else in the other room. But he was saying that some of the best coaches
Mm-hmm.
ask questions.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of rare for coaches to ask questions because
Right.
coaches are like, we're used to directing or
Right.
telling you this or
Right.
go do that. Right.
Right.
But
Right.
I think it's really powerful for a coach or even a mentor or a trainer to ask a question so that the coach is part of the learning process too,
Right. 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 Right.
which is
Man.
kind of rare, and when the coach is asking, then the athlete or the whoever it may be, it doesn't have to be an athlete, but the person who's on the learning side of it
Yeah.
actually feels like their coach is part of the process of learning, which
Right.
is a really cool feeling because that's kind of all of life.
Right.
Life is we're just all here to learn, you
Right.
know.
Right. Right.
So I
Right.
just thought that was really powerful to hear that
Yeah.
specifically from a coach. He
Yeah.
coaches high school soccer,
Mm.
and that was really cool to hear. And I think any coaches or mentors or any trainers out there who instruct others for a living
Mm-hmm.
can take that and say, well, what can I learn here too? This
Right.
is actually a dual journey. You know?
Right. 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 And yeah, like you said it. That was perfect. The best coaches ask questions because it's a relationship, and when you
Yeah,
ask those questions, the other person communicates, and when they
yeah,
start communicating, both of you guys are you guys have a line of communication that's open,
yeah,
and whenever something is sent, it's felt and it's heard
yeah.
on both ends, and so now
Yep.
you know how to address the situation or have a plan of attack, for whatever it is that they're working on.
Yeah, a plan of attack, but also now you're co-creating a culture, right? And
Yeah.
this goes back to Pete Carroll and what those guys are doing in Seattle. Like there's a culture of learning.
Right.
It's not just like a one-off thing or a lesson. It's like a lifestyle.
Right. Right. That's exactly what it is. And it's a
Yeah.
flow. Just go
Yeah.
very back and flow, the back and forth, the ebb and flow of things. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
man,
and,
it's
and
beautiful.
yeah, I know we're staying on this for a second, but it's like another thing that reminds me of is a river. It's a fluid moving body,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And I feel like the best athletes or the champions or the thought leaders identify that and try to share that, and it's more of a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset.
Right. Right. Exactly, man. Exactly. Yes. I love this.
Right on, man. Well, speaking of that, that's a perfect segue to number 4, which is attracting like-minded people,
Mm.
and here we are,
Right.
so
Right. Right.
so so build on that for a second.
Uh, attracted like-minded people. Use it another analogy. Uh, a magnet. You see a magnet and you just see like a metal just sitting there, and you
Hmm.
don't even know that it has it can magnetize things, but you just see it as like it's a piece of metal until you put another something that is of metal like and it's attracted to a magnet, and the minute you see you're like, hey, whoa, then it becomes obvious that that's a magnet, right? And
Yep.
so when you're attracting things and when you're attracting the people around you, it's the exact same thing. You are a magnet, and uh, what you focus your energy on, what you think about, what you contemplate on, what you meditate on, that becomes apparent in your life, and you start attracting that. And so when you start attracting the like-minded people, like myself and yourself,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, incredible things start to happen because we've wanted something along our journey in life, and now we've had an opportunity to connect. Thanks to social media. When if social media did not exist, we would never be able to connect. So that's the upside of it. But
Right.
The beautiful side of it is the ability to use, the powerful force inside of you, the gift that's inside of you to attract like-minded people so they can help you along your journey, because they are acting on that journey as well, and they're cultivating that same type of energy. So that's what I mean by that. And I use the magnet analogy because that's what happens. You attract other magnets, or you attract other metals along your journey, and it's the ones that you need to help you advance. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And what comes up for me when you say all that is the law of attraction. I think that's a definite law. Like even in your book, you mentioned the universal law, right? Or something along those lines. And whether you call it the law of attraction or whatever you put on it, like whatever the wording you put on it, it's
Right.
there.
It's there.
And when you tap into it, you feel it, I mean,
Right.
even like you said, even me and you, like connecting like this is
Right.
it feels right. It feels
Right.
like we're in each other's lives for a reason,
Right.
and
Right.
specifically talking about all these things, and hopefully anyone listening to this will hopefully enhancing their experience with this
Right.
stuff too.
Right. Most
Yeah.
definitely. Man, most
Yeah.
definitely. This
Yeah.
is
Cool,
awesome.
man. Yeah, it is awesome. It is and that's what's cool about it. It is
Yeah.
freaking awesome when
Yeah.
you tap into it and you identify it and then you allow that feeling, like it's awesome.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
part of my messaging is to really drive that feeling. It's an emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's finding that feeling, letting it feel good, allowing it to blossom into other things, allowing the momentum to carry it.
Energy and motion. That's what emotion
Yeah.
is. E
Yes.
E motion. Energy and motion.
I love that. I love that. Emotion, and then the other one that we talked about was in spirit, right?
Yep, in
Inspired.
spirit, yeah. And
Yeah.
inspiration, the word inspired,
Yeah.
inspiration derives from two words, and that's in and spirit.
Spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we can use your spirit to inspire someone else. You're doing the highest act of mankind, because you're using something that no one can take away from you to inspire someone, to wake up someone, to make them become alive, and to do the things that they want to accomplish. You
Yeah.
inspire them to do that.
Yeah, and even Kobe. I know you mentioned him before, the late great Kobe, rest in
Right,
peace. But he said greatness is to inspire the person next to you.
right. Like that's what you can do. If you can do that, you'll help someone else become the best version of themselves.
Mm,
So
love that. Okay, so the fifth one on this list of the learning the five essential lessons for life, building internal wealth like a
all
newborn.
right, all right. So building internal wealth. Uh, your mindset, it just always comes back to it, like what you're attracting. To be wealthy, you have to be wealthy inside first.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens inside happens on the outside. And like that's where the true wealth comes from. Because when you receive the fiat, the external money, which is, I'm not going to say it's not real, but it's paper. But since we put so much energy into it, it has a value. And so when you can understand that when you build internal wealth, whether that's love, whether that's compassion, whether that's hate, um, uh, jealousy, all of these types of characters of emotions, like you're building that type of wealth. And so when you start to feel wealthy from within, then when the actual money comes in, you don't lose yourself. You don't lose your character and who you are. You don't get the money and be like, yo, I'm about to SHIT on these people because I don't give a flying FUCK.
Right, right.
You know, uh, you still act the same way with all the money in the world because that's who you are. And so that's why it's important to build internal wealth first before you actually receive the external worth. Because when you receive the external worth, then you know, in your mind, nobody's gonna be worth a piece. You know, worth your time, and you know they're not worth anything.
Right,
So
right.
you know, so it's just like it fuels your ego, and the other one just fuels your character, who you are. So that's why it's important to build the internal wealth first. So that way, when you receive the external wealth, they can merge and have a happy coexistence.
Love that, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been so fun, bro. I know we're going a little long here, but do you have maybe like 5 to 7 more minutes for the lightning round?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do,
Okay.
man. Like
All
I
right,
mean,
cool.
like the only thing I have to do is just go to the post office. I gotta just, and it's only 2:30, so we're
Okay,
good.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try to fly through these ones. Well, you know, they're kind of deep questions, but maybe some shorter responses. I would encourage you to just keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. How do you define success, and what does being successful mean to you?
Man, what is Earl Nightingale definition of success? Um, man, I forgot. I forget it. It's something like in progress towards a goal. So I have to go back and find it. But Earl Nightingale, he gave a great example of what success means, and so I'll use that. And how do I define it? As what you asked me.
Yeah, what does being successful mean to you, and how do you define success? Yeah.
Okay, so what it means to me is just um, living a flow life, an effortless life. Uh, being in the zone is what success means to me. And the longer you can stay in the zone, the more success you'll have, because
For sure.
it's just a magical place. It's a beautiful place as well, and um, so I define it by just being able to do the small things that I do, and that's read, work out, and meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like for me, that's successful because I have my mental state, I have my happiness, I have my sanity, I have control over me, and so I can control what I do and the love and energy that I put out into the world to help make a difference. So that's what success means to me.
I love that, man. How do you consider the idea of failure?
How do I consider the idea of failure? I actually love it. You know, yeah, I love it just as much as the success. Because if you don't, you know, you just you're loving one side more than the other. And so I speak about balance. And so you have to enjoy life just as much as you enjoy death. You got to enjoy the ups and the downs just as much as you enjoy, you know, hot and cold. You have to have an appreciation to take a cold shower, but if you have hot ones, you know, appreciate the times you can take a hot shower. Uh, you know, so just being able to accept the two uh, is what helps you maintain balance in your life and your power and your peace. You know, that's what I speak about. It's about balance. You know, a lot of people get turned off by mindfulness and meditation. You know, but I'm really just teaching you about mastering the balance between your power and your peace, or just mastering the balance within yourself, so that you could be in the zone. You can experience it more, experience the flow more. So, yeah, that's what it means to me.
Like yin and yang.
Like yin and yang, man. That's it. It's it. You ever seen the movie
What?
Kung Fu Hustle? I'm sorry, I had to ask
No,
you that
no, it's
question.
okay. It's
Kung
all
Fu
good.
Hustle. You ever
I
seen Kung Fu?
haven't. I haven't.
You gotta check that out, man.
I
Gotta check
will.
it out. It's and then after you check it out, we gotta talk again, because man,
Okay.
yeah, that movie right there. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, it's a really good book. I mean, it's
Okay.
a good book. It's a really good movie. So
I'm gonna check that out.
yeah, man. So like at the very end of the movie, there's this what is it, like a homeless karate legend, you
Okay.
know.
Well, don't tell me too much, but go
I
ahead.
know, and he gives this kid he gives this kid a book, like a kung fu master book, and so it's like the process repeats itself in the book, and so that's what I had in mind for my book, Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete. It was just
Okay.
like I can give this kid a book, and if the kid, you know, focuses on the techniques and exercises in the book, and you know, like when they get to
I
this
love
point,
that.
like something's going to happen to them, and whatever they have been studying for that amount of time, it's going to blossom, and people are going to sit and look and wonder in astoundment, like, did that just really happen? How were they able to do that? And you know, it came from that. Go ahead.
Bro, I want you to know, man, like the reason why I got emotional at your book launch, which was last weekend,
Yeah.
was because I have the same idea, man. I have the exact same idea because that's what I want for it. I want to be able to give a kid my book and have them experience that feeling and have me experience the same feeling that you just described. Like that's why I was crying tears of joy because I was
Yeah.
like, man, look at my guy did it right here, you know, and he paved the way for someone like me to like who's working on that. So thank you for that, bro.
Oh man, you're welcome, bro. It's so beautiful to share it with you, man. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What are the most successful habits that you do on a consistent basis other than meditation?
Right. Uh, um,
And other than working out, because I got that too.
just being able to love, like, love,
Mm,
you know, love my family, love myself, love my wife, love my
mm.
kids. You know, it's those things, man. Like just being able, even like animals and insects. You know, if I can save them, you know, I put them outside. But if I can't, you know, I'll say a prayer for them, and then put them out of their misery. You know, but I definitely take the pathway of not harming things and just being able to love, because I just understand the cycle of karma, and so the less harm that you cause in the world and more um, um, uh, love that you can create, you know, that's the karma that you are building. It comes back to that building internal wealth. You know, you do these small things that we don't even think about. You know, we see a bug, we want to just kill it right away. So it's just more so like just being able to love, man. Like when you can do
Man,
that and you don't take those small things for granted, like you really feel it. And when you say it, the other person feels it, and they receive it, and they look at you like, you really do love me. And that's all that we need, you know, to like really function in the world, in
man.
the most like healthy way. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. It's specifically coming from a powerful running back as yourself, who could see a free safety being the last guy between you and the goal, and you still finding a way to not hate that person and
Right,
just
right.
know that they're there as a part of the game. I love all that, man.
It's always, it's nothing personal.
Right.
It's just business. It's nothing nefarious. Just business.
Yeah,
It's
I
just him.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't tell you this earlier, but I was watching some of your game footage, and you remind me of a more powerful Barry Sanders. Like
Yeah.
the way you can cut, like you could cut, but you could also lower your shoulder. You know, like
Yeah, yeah. You know, like man, it was the way that my game had evolved. It was just I don't I don't like to talk about myself, but I like to share my stories.
yeah.
You know, and I just when I came to college, I was a walk-on at Georgia Tech.
Okay.
You know, and so I was number 7th on the depth chart. Number 7th. So I had 6 other running backs in front of me. And my coach, he basically told me that my chances of playing Georgia Tech are 1 in a million.
Wow.
And for somebody to, and my chances of going to the NFL are 1 in a billion. And so for someone to tell you that, that will discourage you and whatever, and in the most horrific way possible, you know,
Sure.
it will detour you to actually like accept that outcome.
Yeah, talk about FOPO. Like, coach,
Right.
that's just your opinion, bro.
All right. Yeah. And so I had to look within myself to overcome what a goal. As I mentioned this in my virtual book lunch party. Like, if you don't have a goal for yourself, someone will have a goal for you.
Yeah. Right.
And so somebody told me that I sucked and I wouldn't amount to playing at Georgia Tech or playing the NFL. And my chances of playing there are 1 in a million. And I'm number 7 on the depth chart, so I'll never have a chance to play. And on paper, that's what it looks like. You know, it's on paper, but I think it was written down with a pencil on paper. So, I basically, I took that and I used that to like become the best version of me, become the starting running back at Georgia Tech, NCAA record for the most rushing yards. And you had mentioned earlier, it's just like all ACC, but I was all ACC, all academic as well. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So, like, I took pride in just being like just the best me. And I didn't let anybody stop me from doing that. And so, that pushed me to become the things that you don't think that you can accomplish or become, because you've never, no one has actually pushed you to get there, or you don't have a mentor to help you look at things in a certain way, because a mentor help groom your emotions, because a lot of times when we do things, our emotions get so involved in them that we don't know how to turn it off.
Right.
You become addicted to I gotta power through everything.
Right.
But once you find that peace, it's like, oh, power, and then it comes to peace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was just, when somebody tells me that I'm not able to accomplish this or do this, or that's impossible, like immediately my brain cuts on and my whole body wakes up like, why would you say that?
Right.
Like, what makes you think that? And let me see. Like, that's not impossible. You just
Right.
You're using debilitating words before you actually commit the action.
Right.
Sometimes we do things and we don't even know what the outcome may be. But if you just start it and you start relying on your intuition, your energy, your inner God, your inner GPS, it starts directing you to do this or try this, do this. Boom. And you're like, wow, I figured it out. And everyone looks at you like, whoa. How'd you do that? It's just like, hey, it wasn't that hard. But you tap into the zone. You live in the flow. You don't miss it. You become aware of it. You know that it's there. You have your board. You have your tool, your meditation. And as the wave comes, you start to pedal. And as the wave comes underneath you, you stand up, boom, and you ride the wave. And you ride that flow.
Yeah.
And you start to see like, that vision that someone tried to create for me did not align with my vision. When somebody told me that I could not make it at Georgia Tech, number 7 on the depth chart, the chances of playing at Georgia Tech are 1 in a million. I'm like Jim Carrey off of Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance?
That was a great reference, man. That's awesome.
And so from there, yeah, I was like, there's a chance, and I'm going to be that chance.
That's
And I
awesome.
did everything that I need to do to get there. So,
That's awesome, man. Just a few more here. So every guest, Prince, that comes on, I come up with a word to describe them or a phrase. So I'm gonna ask you for yours. I know I'm putting you on the spot with this, but
yeah.
I'll give you a second to think about it. And I came up with something, and it wasn't as creative as I was thinking because the word mindful just kept coming up when I was thinking of you. But the phrase that I came up with is courageously and powerfully mindful.
Courageously and powerfully mindful. Yes, I love that. So you want me to explain that?
Well, no, that was just you could if you want, but I was hoping that you could just tell me what's one word or phrase that best describes you and why.
Okay.
That was me thinking of you, and just all the stuff that we're talking about. But yeah, does anything come to mind for yourself?
Um, Patience, persistence, and resilience.
I like that.
Like someone said, that's the key to success, and I have them all. Uh, like don't make any, don't make no appointments, and there'll be no disappointments. Uh, that's what I was shared. That's what was shared with me. um, like it's like you're flowing through life, but it only becomes difficult when you forget that you're flowing.
Mm,
When you forget about you're flowing because your emotions are not present. And you're like, effortless, effortless. Emotions come in like, what the why they do that? I can't believe they cut me off. I can't
right.
believe this. I can't believe it. And you lose that ability to flow. Uh, so,
I like that though.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. What was it you said? Patience,
Patience
resilience,
and persistence. So
persistence.
PPR,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, patience, persistence, resilience.
That's a
Uh,
good one. I like that.
and you'll get pretty much you get any and everything that you want.
That could be a good T-shirt, actually.
Right. Now, I
Yeah.
know somebody else that created it. Oh, well,
Oh,
I
really?
don't. You know what? I don't even know, but I'm pretty sure that would be a good T-shirt. I'm trying
Yeah.
to like, but yes, that would be a good T-shirt. Somebody said that. I heard that from someone, so I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not gonna quote myself for
That's
using that.
cool.
I
That's
heard
cool.
that. Yeah, but man, that is a really good T-shirt. I think
Yeah.
we need to check into that, man.
Right.
You know,
Right.
or switch it around, but like resistance, patience, and persistence.
Right. Switch it around.
Yeah, yeah.
Mindful. Put in
Right,
mindful. And
right. Exactly. Man.
all right. I have two more questions for you.
Okay. Cool.
Um, this is perhaps the best question I could ask you. What is your ultimate why?
Ultimate why is the same reason why we're created. It's why to help make a difference, to help each other evolve. That's my ultimate why. I see that there's a need to help others evolve and grow because people don't realize that they are flowers. Basically, we use all the same resources that a flower uses to grow. Uh, the warmth from the sun, you know, watering, uh, uh, you need sun and water to grow. You need roots. You need to be anchored, and you have to grow, and you have to evolve. And science tells us that. So my why is just to remind people that we are evolving beings, and we need to remember that, and don't get so caught up in uh, the debilitating things that's going to pull you down, pull you back down. Stay focused on the things that's going to help you rise and ascend and become the best version of yourself. So that's my why.
That's beautiful, man. Amen, brother. Last question. We had mentioned fulfillment a little earlier, but What does fulfillment mean to you?
It's like replenishing that energy inside of you. Uh, for me, because like I pour from it every day, every morning, every second I'm awake, and fulfillment for me is just using the energy inside of me for something incredible to happen. And then once that incredible thing happens, I take my piece of the incredibleness and I put it back inside of me, and it makes me feel fulfilled. And then I reuse that energy to make something else. It's investing, just like it's just investing, cultivating, uh, and that's what that means to me. Um,
Mm.
you know, to be able to do that, that's what being fulfilled means to me. It's a cycle. It's an open and a close in part of a cycle. So I use the energy and I get some back, and then I use it again, and so forth. And that's what's fulfilling. It's those. I don't like to call it those wins or the winning streak. It's just the consistency, the flow, being in the zone. Uh, but you can give it any title that you would like.
Hmm.
It's just, I like to say in the flow, but it can be in on the win streak, in the wins. I'm getting it. It's my lucky day. I'm lucky, or so it's all of the above. But for me, the words that I use is just in the zone, in the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Right.
man. This,
This is the longest that I've ever went, and I'm loving every second of it, man.
bro, like this has been very fulfilling for me,
Yeah.
and I know for you too, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, man. Like this has been an incredible talk, man. Thank you, for your time and for your insights, and for sharing some of your experiences, and
Man,
just
thank you, man. I mean,
yeah,
this was beautiful, man. Like,
yeah,
really, just being able to, like, we spent a, a a good amount of time, and just really having a conversation and talking it out. So I don't know what parts they're gonna use, man.
right.
But this was lovely, man. So
Yeah, man, it really was, and I feel energized,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
from all these things, and I hope whoever's listening to this
yeah,
can just take something from this,
yeah.
and apply it to their lives, and
So
hopefully some of this stuff can be relatable directly to their lives, and because I agree with you, fulfillment to me for me is all about enhancing other people's lives, and like you said, evolving the collective spirit,
right,
and
right,
so if we can be a catalyst through this conversation into that goal, then hey,
right.
amen, so
Amen. There you go. Om.
yeah,
Namaste.
ashe, aho.
Exactly.
Well, hey, before we go, I just want to just hold up this book, and this is your most recent publication, The Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete,
Right.
Mastering the Balance Between Power and Peace. There's a really great foreword by Calvin Johnson Jr. It was great to see him on your virtual launch. But for me, this is I haven't read it word for word yet, but I've been starting to look at it, and it's very powerful, and it's full of tools. So thank you for putting, and it took you 6 years to create this, and it's very inspiring for me, not just because I connect with it and the message in it, because I'm also an aspiring author myself. So
Beautiful.
um where can we find this book, and talk a little bit about how we can get more from this.
Yeah, so you can find the book on my website at www.princedanielsjr.com,
Okay.
or you can order the book off of Amazon. It's available on Amazon right now. Um, and uh, you can find me on social media, uh, Instagram and Twitter at Prince Prince AD Jr. On Facebook, it's just Prince Daniels Jr. On LinkedIn, I think it's Prince Daniels Jr. as well. And I think that's the only platforms that I'm on. But
Cool.
or just go to my website and you can find everything else from my website. But for the most part, I'm not hard to find. Oh, and my foundation. I have a 501c3 foundation. It's called 4LBU, where we help teach kids about the tools of mindfulness and meditation and financial literacy to help them cope with everything that's going on in the world and be able to have a sustainable life for themselves.
Mm.
So, yeah, man. So right now, our foundation is receiving donations from people that want to help in this cause of helping underserved students, kids. I'm sorry, I didn't mention underserved.
Yeah.
Helping underserved students learn the power and the tools of mindfulness meditation and financial literacy. So then that way, right now, we're receiving donations so that we can distribute this book, Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete, to teams around the world in local cities. And then I follow up with those teams, and we have like a mini week session, like a 2 to 3 week session, where I coach them through the book. And so this is all funded from my foundation. I've been getting anonymous donors and donations from the banks, and it's been really, really, really awesome. So it gives me the opportunity to actually put this book in people's houses,
Yes.
and also coach them, and having the right mindset and adapting the right mindset to be able to fulfill themselves, fulfill their purpose and their vision, and live out their dreams, man. So
Amazing, man. Amazing. I will link all of those things you just said in the description for the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And just real quick before we break, just talk real quick about your the other offers that you have. You have a 6-week course,
Yes.
and then you also have something for an ultimate athlete too, right?
Right. So
Mention that, yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I mentioned my foundation. The name of my foundation is www.4L, the number 4LBU Foundation.org. And it stands for For Life Be You. For
Cool.
Life Be Yourself.
Love that.
And so the second thing, my offering. So yeah, I have a 6-week course that I have that goes along with the book, and basically we dive in deeper into why I wrote the book, what I was intending to get people to understand, and also how you can become, the best version of yourself and become the ultimate athlete as well. And we also have a VIP course, and that's for high achievers and professional athletes, current, former, you name it. And you got an opportunity to get me some one-on-one coaching. We meet once a week for 1 hour. You get a journal. You get other information to to become a student, and I get an opportunity to teach you, everything that I've learned and the things that you can apply to improve yourself, like immediately. So these are things that I'm looking for people to sign up and like get this information.
Yeah.
Be the first ones to have it, or I wouldn't say I'm the first one to put out this information, but what I will say is that I am a former running back for the Baltimore Ravens, and I made it to the NFL due to my ability. And so I've been able to replicate that and put it in a course and be able to coach people and teach them how they can become the best versions of themselves and use their in spirit to inspire others around them to become the best version of themselves as well.
Oh, I love it, man. I'll link all that stuff, like I said, in the description. Prince Daniels Jr., this has been awesome, dude.
Aaron, it has been really awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
You are awesome, man. So,
you are awesome. You are awesome. Thank you so much. And don't go anywhere. I'm going to break this. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
And you know what? We should do a round 2 of this sometime,
Let's do it. Let's definitely do it, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it in a couple of months. You'll see where I am again. I'm pretty sure I'll still be busy, just like yourself, man. But we'll be
Yeah.
in different places in our lives, but in like a beautiful place. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking
Absolutely. All
forward
right,
to
man.
it.
Don't go anywhere. I'm
I'm
going to
not
stop this recording and
okay,
peace and blessings, bro.
man. Peace and blessings. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much for joining me on Within the Game podcast. Visit withinthegame.com for show notes and links on everything we talked about today. You can also subscribe to the mailing list, which will give you exclusive content from each guest, as well as more resources to help you stay inspired in and out of your game. Follow us on Instagram at Within the Game Podcast.